Hi there, everyone. My name's Amanda, and I am back to talk to you. This is going to be kind of a free flow talk, just of some things I've been thinking about and reflecting on in my own journey lately, and I hope it's relevant to you. Um, I always say this in my videos, please take what resonates for you and leave the rest. What I'm sharing is my personal spiritual journey and my thoughts. And so I hope it connects with someone out there, and if it doesn't resonate for you, that's fine too. Feel free to just click off. I've just had a lot of realizations going on lately around love. And I guess, at its core, right, love is kind of the root of everything, right? The root of all things we're seeking. When we seek acceptance, love is underneath that. When we seek greater peace, love is the avenue towards that. So I guess this is kind of like the love is the overarching umbrella that touches everything. And when it comes to a spiritual journey, I think love is the absolute cornerstone of all of it. But I think what I really want to share, because it's a concept that keeps coming around for me. So I guess briefly I should explain a little bit about my own journey with sacred partnership. Now, a lot of people use the term twin flame. Some people use the term divine union, sacred partnership, evolutionary relationship, soul connection, soul mate. All these are terms that we're using to describe a powerful soul connection, basically connections that go beyond this lifetime, connections that are here to facilitate your spiritual growth. That's the type of love and partnership that I'm talking about right now. And in my own personal journey, I have had three very, very powerful soul connections within the last 3 years that have come to a head quite in pretty rapid succession. It didn't really feel like that at the time. So I'm gonna try to give you that as context to begin. So the first soul connection I came in contact with, at the time I really believed he was my twin flame. That was the label I was putting on it at the time. And I see now that really I needed to come in contact with that label in order to find the spiritual practices that would help me with my growth, and the mentors and spiritual healers that I needed to work with in my own journey. So as far as that goes, I'm not super attached to the label anymore. I think if you use the term twin flame and it facilitates your growth and it helps you understand your connection with another person, that's beautiful. But for me personally, it served me for a time, and then it got to the point where the label was limiting. It was causing me to continue to attach to a person who was not emotionally available for me and wasn't showing up for me fully. And I believe, true twin flame loving partnership is based in both people being able to fully show up for each other. And my journey's still unfolding, so there's a lot that I still have yet to learn. But as far as where I'm at right now, that's kind of where I'm sitting. Is the term was useful in order to connect me to my own spiritual awakening and understanding my gifts better, and also understanding. The thing about the twin flame path is it's really one of becoming one with yourself first in order to connect to your sacred partner. And that information is valuable, I think, for anybody out there. I think so many of us don't know who we are, and then we're confused why we can't invite loving partnership into our lives. So that first soul connection I came in contact with was definitely the catalyst for my own self-inquiry and learning how to love myself better. And it was, sparked first by someone else seeing me and seeing the parts of me that I wasn't fully loving. So I have to say thank you and have a lot of gratitude for that experience. But it got to a point where it was years of waiting for this person to, wake up and show up. And that's really an illusion, because if I'm holding off on my own growth, waiting for someone else to meet me there, then it means that I'm holding back some part of myself. So that's what I learned from that experience. And kind of while all that was going on, I also started opening up to mediumship and psychic abilities. And I ended up connecting with a past life lover of mine. And that whole experience I have documented in a documentary, which I'll link below if you're interested in past life information, connecting with spirit guides from previous lifetimes. You might find that information valuable. But I think and my personal past life connection that I have been exploring is this, it was in the American Civil War. So I am learning and integrating a lot about ingrained trauma from war, how both the masculine and the feminine has been deeply, deeply wounded by warfare and separation caused by warfare, pain that has been inflicted and absorbed and all of this. So part of my mission has really been trying to understand my place in the healing of those lifetimes. It's also, I believe, connecting with this beautiful spirit guide, this person who loves me so deeply from a past life. In his lifetime, he was a very, very strong, courageous warrior. And, now we are healing from the pain that has been inflicted. I think still that warrior archetype can be very inspiring on a spiritual journey, because you look at this person who has been so courageous in battle and you think, wow, like, we're in a spiritual battle right now, and it's different than a physical one, but we need the same depth of courage that it takes to fight a physical battle. So I think in part that's why he connects with me. He's connecting with me now, is to remember that type of courage, the courage to sit, peacefully on top of a horse while cannonballs are exploding around you, finding an inner calm in the midst of chaos. And also just, he fought pretty hard to reconnect with me, and to know that you're loved on that deep of a level is really transformative. And through these two soul connections that I already touched on, I learned so much about myself, about my gifts and abilities, and I'm starting to understand more fully why I'm here, why I'm incarnated here, what I'm here to do. That's always in progress or process, but and then in the middle of all this, self-inquiry, realization, a third soul connection was dropped into my lap, and then, not that you start the process all over again. Actually, what I saw was how much growth that I've made since that first connection. Is I've learned how to be really, really present with myself and also with another person through their journey and what they're going through. And I think a lot of relationship is, it's so reactive, and we build resentment towards each other. And, you know, our circumstance wasn't really very easy to begin with, and it still kind of isn't. But what I found in this current partnership that I'm exploring is, when I finally learned how to show up for myself fully and really let go of the parts of me that needed somebody else to validate it. It's funny, like, you feel like it shouldn't work this way, but someone came into my life who was able to show up fully, who I was able to be really authentic with, and it didn't scare them away. And vice versa, you know, it has been a very equal energy exchange, which I was not used to in the past. And so, you know, I don't know what will happen, and I have really let go of the need to label what's going on. And I think as long as a connection is facilitating your further growth, then it's beautiful. You know, it doesn't need a label. And all of that was really to say, so the connection I talked about with my past life connection from the Civil War, there have definitely been some links to what I am healing and integrating from that lifetime and what's being brought up now. Because I think it's important to understand any type of sacred partnership, it's not going to be all roses and like, there's so much beauty and so much love in those connections, but it also triggers the fuck out of you. And that's kind of what they're there for. You're actually there to mirror your stuff to each other and trigger each other's stuff so it can be brought to the light and healed and transformed. And it's always done from a very loving place, but it doesn't mean it's easy, and it can be difficult and frustrating at times. So what happened for me is this connection that came into my life that kind of came out of nowhere. It was things were really flowing really easily at the beginning. At least energetically, that's what it felt like. And then, because I think what happens is, first you're connecting soul to soul, and you're seeing, you know, the glory of the divinity of that other person. And then slowly but surely the human comes in, and the layers of crap and baggage that get piled on top of that person and your own divine spirit, that stuff starts coming up then. So you can clear it, so you can get back to that divine part of you. So I've had a bunch of, you know, triggers come up. And I know I've been triggering him too. But for me, a really big trigger. So one of the things that was said, basically the option was given, if at any point you want to leave, you can leave. Just make sure you say goodbye on your way out. And that statement, I got really, really triggered by that. And I at first couldn't quite figure out why. Because on one hand, you know, that's a statement of love. That's a statement of giving somebody freedom, saying, you know, you have the option to reevaluate and leave this partnership if it becomes a source of pain for you. But man, that hit me for days. I was replaying that sentence like, this is like causing me pain. And then I had a memory. I remembered having the same conversation with John, my love from the Civil War. At some point, there was a conversation we had where he said, you know, if it's too difficult to love me, you don't have to, you know, because our situation was that he was a soldier and he was fighting in the war. So basically at any time he could possibly have gone away and been killed, and that actually is what ended up happening. So he had given me this option, you know, if it's too hard to love me, to worry about me never coming back, you can say goodbye now. And as I've been, you know, processing all this and integrating it, I think what I realized is, number one, the strength of myself in that past life, and also my current level of strength, because at no point, then or now, at no point did it feel like leaving was an option. I mean, it's always an option, right? We always have an option. But when you're given the option to love or leave, I've chosen to stay. And there's a warrior-like quality to that, to saying, you know, the only thing that's certain is that things are uncertain. So yeah, I could protect myself and say, you know what, I might lose you, so I won't let myself love you because it's going to be painful to lose you. But I think what I've been mulling over a lot lately is, you know, you can't protect yourself from heartbreak and allow yourself to love at the same time. You know, because protecting yourself means protecting yourself from pain, hurt. But when you put up those walls of protection, you also protect yourself from deep, true, loving connection. So your choice is either I open myself up to love another person and also invite in the risk of heartbreak, or I protect myself and close all of it off. You know, we can't selectively block. And I think honestly we wouldn't want to, because I think the preciousness of those connections is knowing that the only thing that's certain is this moment. In this moment, I choose to love you. In the next moment, I don't know what will happen, but we're taking that risk together. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know if all of these ramblings really have an overarching connecting point. I'm kind of just talking as things come to my mind. But I really feel like we're in a time where so many people are numbing out. And again, like, you can't selectively numb out. If you're gonna numb out your painful feelings, you're also gonna numb joy, love, connection. And so I think it's really about that, like, taking the armor off, because your spirit is a lot stronger than you give yourself credit for, right? And this is also something I've been discovering, because for the last probably 10 months, as I've been exploring this past life connection, exploring the love that you had back then also means, reawakening all of the trauma and the loss and the grief that I experienced. And there have been times where I just have thought, I can't handle this. Like, I don't know if I can move through this. And that's just me being honest. I think it's important. Transparency is important. A spiritual path, walking that isn't easy. It's worth it and it's beautiful, but it's not going to always be peaceful and beautiful and fun. But, you know, as I've been exploring all of this and going back into it, you know, like I vividly remember seeing, you know, this person that I loved so deeply. Like I can vividly picture what it looked like to see his face still dead and cold in a casket. I can also remember what it was like to have him look at me with deep love in his eyes. And all that's to say, I think we have to really embrace the full spectrum of what the human experience is. We can't only want the things that feel good without kind of going down into the mud and digging for the diamonds, you know. And there's beauty in that, actually. Like I said, what I really discovered upon this painful trigger that happened for me actually led me to understanding more about my own resilience, about my own, you know, power. Because I think it's really powerful to look at someone and say, you know, you're giving me the option to back out if I'm too afraid, and I'm telling you I'm brave enough that I'm staying. So I think that's kind of all I wanted to talk about, but I've been processing a lot, and we've got the full moon in Scorpio today, so it's all that dark stuff and all the emotions kind of coming to the surface, and it's good because it's coming out to just be, you know, the darkness is being invited to leave. In fact, I'm just gonna, just to close this up for anybody who's listening, we're just gonna close our eyes, take a couple deep breaths. Okay, I'm gonna just invite you to drop into your heart. If you want to tap on your heart chakra, you can do that for a little bit too. So we're just opening up our hearts, tuning into our heart, breathing into that space. And I'm just going to ask that any negative or dark energies that no longer serve us, I'm just going to ask them to be lovingly turned away from our energy fields, recycled back into the earth. And I'm going to just ask that your energy field be filled with the light of courage and bravery from the divine, to be surrounded by a pink glow of light, the light of pure unconditional love. And I ask that your energy fields are protected, so that you can move forward and outward into the world from a more loving, courageous place. Okay, and let's just put our hands over our hearts and take one deep breath to integrate that. Okay, I just think right now with there's just a lot of heavy energy going on, and it's important to clear a little bit. So I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, rest of your week. Whenever you're listening to this is totally fine, even if it's 10 years from now. I'm just wishing you all the best and sending you lots of love and light. Feel free to comment on the video with your thoughts. Ask me any questions. If there's certain topics you'd like to hear me talk about. And I offer readings, so feel free to check out my website if what I'm talking about resonates for you and you want some guidance. I'd be honored to be a part of your journey. And like I said, sending you lots of love and light, and until next time.